got it. Let's see. Is it showing? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Excellent. I got it. I will try and share. Brilliant.
Hello, everybody. This is Debby Enoe from Teacher Success Coach with another episode of the Female Educators Roundtable. But there's a slight difference because every Wednesday now I'll be coming on with another woman. Oh my goodness, I'm stumbling over my words. With a woman to discuss empowerment. So some of the challenges we've had or some of the challenges we are going through, and how are we going to use those challenges as a way of empowering ourselves and empowering other women. There is no point in just seeing the challenge as negative, because from the challenge, there are so many great things coming out of those challenges, so many opportunities, so many ideas. So we need to use our challenges for the positive aspect. Yeah. Apart from seeing it as a negative, we need to see it as a way of progression. And what could we do with this challenge we are having? How can we turn those challenges into development, transformation, growth, empowerment? So that's how I feel we should start looking at challenges. One of the things I don't say is, oh, well, what's some of the, the struggles? I don't use the word struggles. I see it as challenges, because from those challenges, we then grow. So we need to see all these challenges it's like looking at it as a stepping stone. Or it's like, when you're actually on this, on the bouncy castle, those things like how you actually bump up. That's what we need to see the challenges as, in terms of, using it as something that would bring us up instead of looking at it as, oh my goodness. No. What is in this for you in terms of development, in terms of transformation? So on a Wednesday, that's what we're going to be doing, discussing some of our challenges and how we are going to use it for our own development, for our own progression, for our own empowerment, and how can we help other people. Yeah. Right, so I've talked enough of that. Anyway, my wonderful guests, as usual, you guys know, I usually have women from around the world. And for the first Wednesday session is someone from my own country. Well, not so much my own, my temporary country, right?
Yeah.
My temporary country, the UK.
Yeah.
Because it's not my own country, it's my temporary country, right? Anyway, welcome. Thank you so much for accepting the offer to come on to share your challenge with us, to share your journey with us, etc. So tell us about yourself. Tell us where you come from and a bit about yourself, and we take it from
there. Okay, so hey everyone. My name's Sylvia Johnstone. Everyone calls me SJ for short. I'm a single mother of two boys. I live in the UK. I live in a town called Hertfordshire, and I'm 49 years old, been self-employed, working for myself for the past 16 odd years. My current position is I show other women I help other women learn the skills to earn a living online. So I teach them different things that can help them, and I sell beauty and wellness products as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's me, really.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Right, it's fantastic, because one of the things you say is, you have been self-employed, so you've been an entrepreneur for 16, 17 years. When people hear the word self-employment, it's especially for women, they become very, very scared. Yes, I feel that the reason why they become very scared, we have always been so conditioned to want the wage and want someone to be giving us. So when we know we're getting it from someone, it seems to reassure us that, okay, we're getting something at the end of the month. What we fail to realize is the amount of energy you have to put in someone else's job. You could put that energy within yourself. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100% agree. Like I was saying to you earlier, like I fell into self-employment. It wasn't something I set out to do. It wasn't something that I woke up one day and said, that's it, I'm working for myself. I fell into it, and purely because I was a woman that always worked in corporate companies. I've worked for Yellow Pages, I've worked for American Express, I've worked for One to One. So I've always been in the corporate industry until I had my first son, my first child. And for me, it really was that I didn't want to leave him. I was meant to go back to my full-time job with at the 6-month mark. After that, I wouldn't have been paid any salary. So it was always known, right, 6 months I'd have to be back at work. It meant I would have to put him into childcare, and it, as it was getting nearer to the time, it dawned on me that there was just no way I could leave this tiny, because he was so small, tiny baby in childcare, like in a nursery, like a newborn. Like, to me, he was still a newborn. It was just, I just couldn't do it. And that's how I fell into finding another way. Like, it is scary. I get it, because we are conditioned that, especially as women, we are providers. We are the providers in so many different ways. I know other people might say, no, the man's supposed to be the provider. Yeah, many years ago that was the case, but that isn't the case anymore, right? We are in times where we have a lot more single parent families. More, I mean, masses and masses of single parent mothers, right? And I know we've got single dads too, right? That you become the provider financially, physically, mentally. You become all the things. And for me to try and do that, and on your own shoulders, it's heavy, it's a lot, and hold down a full-time job when you've got young children, it's a lot. Even if you're not a single parent and you're in a happy relationship, whatever, it's still a lot for the parents to juggle the childcare, like who can pick them up, who can take them to nursery, all of those things. But sometimes if you just let go and stop and think to yourself, there's other ways. Like, so many people you've got like a gold mine in your hand because you're good at making something, or you're good at cooking something, or you're amazing at, I don't know, cutting hair or styling hair. There's things that everybody has a gift. Everybody has something. Every single person, I don't care who you are. But it's being brave enough to believe that you can. Why couldn't you? The people that we look at, I don't really follow celebrities and things, but I know lots of people do, so I'll use that as an example. We look at these people in the spotlight and we're like, oh my God, like, imagine if I was a singer and I'm looking at someone like Beyonce and oh my God, I'd love to have a show, or what. Well, why can't you? Like, she believed enough in it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure she had lots of help and all the rest of it, but she still had to put some work in herself and believe in herself enough that she deserved the stuff that she's got coming to her. Okay. And it's having that belief in yourself, which doesn't come easy. So that means you have to work on yourself to get that belief, especially if you're surrounded in an environment that the conditioning is you just do things this way. So if you've got no one around you that's saying, yeah, go for it, it makes it very hard for you to believe in yourself even more. So you have to work on yourself. You have to go out there and actively find things that are going to feed you with the positive food that you need for your brain, for you to be able to get that confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to try it. You know what, I'm going to do this. You know what, I'm going to at least ask the question and see whether that thing is even possible. Like, but women are so, we live in fear a lot of the time. But what if I do that and it doesn't work? But what if I try that and that? What about this and what about that? What, like, we're constantly second guessing everything all of the time. That hasn't even happened yet, but we're creating these stories of what could or might happen. So we just stop dead and do nothing.
So very true. Thank you so much, because something you've said in terms of that, too often people seem to think men are the providers. I hear that, like you, yes, but we need to remember women has the triple shift. When Anoakley said that, I connect with that, because some women are working on a full-time job.
Yeah.
they also provide the emotional support for the family and also sometimes the extended family. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then they also have to provide the work which is unpaid inside of the house. She
Yes.
have to clean, cook. It doesn't matter if her husband is doing something, she still have to do it.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
very rare we have the roles that are completely reversed.
Yes.
So whether or not you want to or not, you still would find yourself as a woman either going and do the cooking or doing the cleaning, etc. So hence the reason why women has the triple shift. And
Yes.
it's like you hear something, a woman's job is never done.
100% correct.
Exactly. Yeah. And when couple that is when she have children, that's another thing.
That's another thing.
It's a full-time position. And it's like when you were saying like taking to the nursery, I just sit there and I was visualizing it. The last is 17 years ago, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I remember, on hip in Gary, and it's like you are just going about your business. You cannot think. You just become automatic.
It's like robotic. You're literally just going through the motions every single day. Like it's almost like you're checking off the tick list. Done that, done that, done that, done that, done that, done that. Didn't do that. Whatever it is, you're not really. And I know this is a different topic, but just real quick, I think because women do that automatically, that's what I can relate to my own marriage. That's where the problems can come in marriages, because you literally just become a robot. So when I kind of understand now where some men say, well, she changed, she's not the same anymore, because she's not the same anymore. She's now got 10 hats instead of 2 or whatever it might be, and she's become that robot. She's just going through the motions, and she might not necessarily even realize that's what she's doing. So the little extras, which are important, so I shouldn't call them little extras, but the cuddles, the kisses, the affection, the going, all of that, there's no time for that. So exactly. you kind of think, well, that's a luxury as a woman. You kind of think, well, I don't need to get my nails done. I don't need to get my hair done. I don't need to do, those are luxuries. You push those out and you don't do them. And that's where the syndrome of, well, she's always in her jogging bottoms and her trainers, because that's because you're not looking at yourself as a woman. You're looking at yourself as a mum, a wife, a this, a that, and you as a woman, as an individual, like me as Sylvia before Sylvia became woman, wife, mum, this, that, and the other, gets completely lost. So therefore, if that person is gone, how can you possibly believe that you can do it, because you don't remember who that person was? You don't know who you are.
Yeah. It is so very true, because as soon as what you say is so true, when the husband or the partner say, oh, she's changed, and that happens a lot of time when she become a mother,
when she becomes a mum.
Yes, because you see, the role is no longer just 2 of you in this partnership. You now have a responsibility for this new little person in your life.
That's
so
right,
therefore, as you rightly say, you forget about yourself, because the self-love and self-care is no longer even on the agenda, much less to be looked at on this agenda. It does not appear in the agenda, because everything else find a position, because this new being you now have take precedent and nothing else matters. And as you rightly say, the self-care of the nails, the lipsticks or whatever, that doesn't exist anymore.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. It is so very true. And that's some of the things, as you rightly say, we need to start finding that woman who used to be. And we don't have to have used to be anymore. Find that woman and let that woman become the new woman right now.
That's right.
And start taking care of you, because too often you get lost and people say, oh, it's okay for you to say that. No, if you don't find you, no one else will find you.
Yes, amen.
Time to find you.
Amen. No, 100%. I mean, I'm still learning. Learning, you're always learning, right? It's never ending. But yeah, these are things you learn along the journey sometimes. And 100%, if you can't find yourself, how can anybody else find you? And how can you give yourself to somebody else if you don't even know who you are. Like, you know, I get people all the time, oh, when are you going, no, you've been on your own for a long time now, SJ, when are you going to find someone? Well, no, I've been, for the last 12 years, I've been finding who I am. Yes. And that may sound crazy to some people, but I've had to, because I suddenly realized that I really didn't know who I was. I was somebody else for somebody else for so long. Even before my marriage, you know, the relationships I had before then, I was always molding myself to be what they wanted me to be, whether that was a relationship or whether it was groups of friendships. I was never, I can't honestly say until up until the point I'm at now, but any point in my life up until the last few years was I truly who I am. I was always blending to be, you know, to fit in, to you know, that's how they are, so I'll just adapt myself a bit to fit there, or to fit there, to fit there. So you don't, you know, so when it comes to relationships, I'm like, I can't give myself to someone else when I'm still trying to find out what do I like, what don't I like, all of those different things. There's lots of us don't really do that. We don't take the time to relearn who we are, because you do, when you've lost yourself for so long and you've been doing other things, this robotic life, if you like, you become somebody very different. So when you do find yourself, it's not about bringing them back and they're going to be it's about merging them together on how you make it work in harmony together, because you're somebody new now, but there's lots of your old you that is screaming to come forward and be like, and together it became a better version of yourself.
Thank you. It is so very true, because I had a woman say to me a few months ago, and you know, because we actually connect together, so every week we have conversation. She said, Debbie, I never knew myself, because I got married and then I became for someone else. It's only now that I'm on the other side, I'm beginning to see me, and I'm loving me, because I didn't know me. So I'm now trying to find me and walk on me and say, oh my goodness, this is what I like. Because so young, I was involved in relationships. So I've never been by myself to know me.
Right. Yes, I understand.
You know, because in some relationship, it's very difficult to start finding you, because you're constantly compromising and, you know, being piece of someone.
Yeah, especially as a woman, 100%, because you want to be the best mum, you want to be the best wife or girlfriend, partner, whatever you want to call it. So everybody knows you can't, like, if you got 5 things that you got to do, like, you can't possibly do all 5 at the same time. Something's got to give. Exactly. So what gives? We give. We're perfect at all of these jobs, but the job, I said this recently somewhere, the job of being yourself, we are so rubbish at. We are rubbish at. Because it's like we're scared that we won't be accepted, you know, won't be liked or whatever it is. But then if that's the case, then that isn't your place. You shouldn't be there. If that person or thing isn't going to accept you for who you truly are, you shouldn't be there. As long as you're a good person, obviously. But you know, you shouldn't be there if you're in a space where you're constantly having to be something else, then that's not good for you. That might be sick.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that. Because the interesting thing about it is you are constantly trying to fit in. It's like a square peg in a wrong hole. So therefore, you're trying to fit in and trying to be accepted, and it's not coming together because you are not satisfying yourself. So you're not congruent. You know, you're so incongruent because they're not a balance.
That's right.
It is so true, because so often, in so many industry, you see women trying to fit in, because trying to fit in for several reasons, trying to fit in to be accepted, trying to fit in to do the job well. And in a lot of industry, when women are in position, in managerial position, at the top of managerial position, there is always an issue because they're trying so hard to be accepted that they're not being the authentic or feminine self.
Yeah.
And too often that the femininity of that woman get lost. As if we feel that as women, in order to get up there, you have to be, in some cases, especially in male-dominated area, you have to be a man. No, your femininity actually got you there in the first place.
Yes.
And I think that is something we as women constantly need to be reminded of. You don't have to be a man to be, you know, the CEO of any of those.
Something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we constantly, and I see it so many times that I'm at the stage where there's some industry or in some schools. I don't want to be going into school where there's some women, you know, principals, because I've had it so many times that it's such a disaster. They're trying to prove themselves. And the process of doing that, they're kind of trading on the women who are there to support them.
Support them. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's not good.
So many industry.
Yeah.
So many industry.
Yeah, it's not good.
You know, it's quite sad that, you know, the uniqueness and the femininity just seems to go out to the window because they're trying to compete. And yes, I understand that in a male-dominated world, but however, I do not feel that, especially if you're in industry where other women there, I think we should be collaborating, cooperating instead of competing.
Absolutely.
We do not need to compete.
Don't need to compete.
Because what is competition? Why do we need to compete? We all have different skills.
That's right.
You know, I cannot compete my skills with yours because Debbie does it Debbie's way.
Yes.
And Sylvia does it Sylvia's way. We cannot compete because we are so unique. And there's still room for all of the uniqueness. But sadly, in a lot of places, a lot of industry, you see the competition within women and it becomes a cat fight.
Yeah. And it's an insecurity, I think. I think it's an insecurity in those people that behave that way, of maybe the fear of losing their place, I guess. Like, you know, it's like what was it, catwalk, you know, constant joke of, you know, tripping someone up so they break their legs so they don't get to walk the catwalk and that sort of thing. It's an insecurity of the fear of, I think that girl is amazing and she's better than me, and if I allow her to go that way, she's going to surpass me, and then what am I going to do? But you shouldn't see it like that. You should be like I said before, wow, like, what is she doing? Like, I want to shine like that. Let me go and talk to her and find out a bit more about what she's doing. Maybe there's something that she can teach me, or maybe something I can teach her. Like you said, collaboration, because we learn and grow together that way. And we've all got gifts. And even if you've got the same gift or you do the same business, people come to you. If you're working for yourself, say, people shop with you or buy from you or use your services because of you, not because of what you're offering. It's you that they've bought into. So while they have chosen you to be their coach or whatever, or person that provides them with their diet thing or whatever it is, right? Because you can get these services everywhere, right? So people might want to go to you, but there might be people that don't want to go to you, prefer somebody else. There's nothing wrong in that. Like, you can't possibly service, one person can't possibly service the entire world by themselves. So what are you fighting over?
Yeah, it is so very true. Thank you. Because something I always say, there's enough room for all of us, you know. There's enough room for all of us and more. Yeah. You know, it's like, I remember reading something, what causes poverty is not lack of money that causes poverty. It's how it is. It's greed and how it is distributed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pure greed.
It's the greed and distribution. You know, they should have no poverty if things are distributed how we ought to be, and people are not so greedy about it.
That's right.
Because the more you become greedy, the less you actually have clarity in vision.
That's right.
You know,
like
it's very sad, because Some people are so greedy that it consumes them, and they cannot see reality, and they cannot see a balance.
That's
They
right.
want of so many of the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Makes no sense.
This is it. They're led by ego, though, aren't they? They're fueled by ego.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
yeah.
their ego, the self-importance, and they can't see what they're doing.
Yeah. It is so very true. Something you've said was about insecurity. That's why you feel that some women constantly feel the need to support. Where do you think these insecurities come from?
The insecurities, God, I mean, I think it probably comes from what you see as a child, that the role of a woman is just like men as well. You're conditioned from young to believe that this is how men behave, or these are the jobs that men do, these are the jobs that women do. I think it comes from there. And the more, and obviously there's lots of different factors, because it's dependent on your community you're in, your race, the country, you know, lots of different things can add to it. But I think that a lot of it comes from you, I would say, from your childhood, because the condition, the things that we see in the world that tells us is acceptable, that tells us if you look this way or do this, etc., you'll be successful or you won't be successful. That, and women, if we put our hand to anything, there's high expectations. Like, if you're going to work, then you better do it well. Like, there's high expectation because you're female. And that can set you into a state of fear, because you don't sure you could live up to that expectation. You know, like, you've got to be the perfect mother. If you're the mum that has your baby in bed with her, oh Lord help you. Like, you know, people are going to start creating blue murder because you're sleeping in bed with your newborn. I understand why people say you shouldn't do it. I totally get it. But if you do that, that's your business. That's, you know, you shouldn't be making people feel any less because that's their way. But that's what we see in the world, you know. And if you breastfeed in public, people are going to go crazy. If you don't breastfeed, people are going to go crazy. All of these perceptions and these ideas and these boxes that we've been conditioned as we've grown, that we feel we have to fit in, because that's what society says we should fit in. That if you want to try anything outside of that, it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's interesting though, because what comes to mind is the feeling of not good enough.
That's right, because hyper expectations. It can't be like, yeah, go for that, give it a go, see how you get on. It's like, there's an expectation there that you know, you got to do it to a certain level, and if you don't, you're rubbish, you're not any good. Like, scrap that idea, like, you know.
Yeah, thank you. One question is, what institutional and societal changes need to be made for women to be empowered? So in terms of, what do you think that institution and societal changes need to be had in order for women to be empowered?
Oh God. That's a hard one. Because obviously I don't work. I would be sacked. If I had to go and get a 9-to-5 job now, I think I'd be sacked within 24 hours. But I don't know. I think it's if you're in employment, it's having spaces that are more understanding to women's needs and the things they go through. Like, something very simple, like having your menstrual cycle. Like, I mean, I get, you know, some people get it really bad. It's bad. I consider bad for me, but someone may have it worse than I am. But if for the first few days, you know, I'm like literally paralyzed. I can't walk. I can't do anything. If you're working full time for a company, you can't ring up your boss and say you're not coming in because you're in pain from your cycle. Do you understand what I mean? Because they're not going to understand. And even if they're female, because they've been conditioned not to understand, if you understand, though they understand the role they've been given, they can't be empathetic to it in that way, right? But that's a major that's a big thing for a woman. We have to go through that every single month. And some of us breeze it, some of us it's not a problem, but some women, it makes them really sick. And you're no good to anybody in that state. So to just something as small as that, as having understanding in the workplace, okay, this is going to happen. There's no flexibility for that. There's no flexibility for women that have childcare issues. It's very hard for women to find jobs that fit around school hours unless you go into childcare yourself, which is what people kept telling me to do. Why don't you go and work in a nursery? Why don't you go and be a teacher assistant? Because I don't want to be a teacher assistant. I don't want to work in a nursery with young kids. Like, it's just not my fit. Yeah, I love my children. I look after lots of other people's children, but do I want to work in that? No, I don't. Right. Again, my mindset was, let me find another way before I go that way. Right. But though you'll find a lot of mums tend to go for those jobs because those are the only ones that work round their own kids at school and gives them the holiday time off so they can be home with their child when in the school holidays. If that's something you don't want to do, what are the other options? What do you do? There isn't a lot of options for women that need to work but have kids. So things like that I need to be looked at. Men are different. They don't, not all, but the majority, they don't have to deal with those responsibilities. You know, it's not saying they don't want to, but they don't deal with those responsibilities. It's always the mum that will sort out the childcare, that will do X, Y, Z. It's always the mum, the child's sick. The first person the teacher is going to call is the mother. They're not picking up the dad's number and ringing the dad and saying, your son's sick, can you come? They're ringing the mother first. They only ring the dad if the mum can't come or they can't get through to her, right? So it's all of these things that society puts on us, you know, that need to be changed. We have to be looked at different. Well, yes, we're human, but male and females are different, got different needs, different skill sets, you know.
Thank you very much. It's interesting, the first two topics you brought up, because that came up in one of the platform a few weeks ago in terms of women and menstrual cycle and women and childcare, because I don't think people realize how debilitating that can be. Because I remember for me that everybody seems to know that it's the time of my month, because it's either I'm not there, or if I'm there, I could hardly, I'm no use to myself. Exactly. I'm lying on the desk. I'm all over the place. So it becomes so obvious. As much as you don't want it to become obvious, you cannot help it because you're shut down. There's no thinking process in your head. You cannot even think.
You can't. That's right. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a situation where having to take time off every month, it becomes so obvious that it is your time of the month. You're thinking, oh, God. Oh, God. You know, yes. You know, and there should be another way that could be dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but that's something that needs to be looked at. And you've got to think about communities that are very, very private because of their religion. Like, you know, a lot of Asian communities, I don't know enough about it, but I have people in those communities. You know, that's a very private thing. Not even the men in the household want to know when that's going on for them. So imagine them going to work and they go, like, the pain that they might be suffering, but they're having to completely cover it because it's shame. In their culture, it's shame or whatever it might be. Do you see what I mean? So it's definitely something that comes to mind that needs to be looked at. Whether it ever will be is a different matter, but you know, it's something that is important.
The interesting thing about it is, if it was an issue that affected men, I have no doubt.
There would be some kind of rule. Listen, I'm not anti-men.
I'm not either, but we're just being realistic. Being realistic.
I'm not anti-men, but if it was a male, if it was men that had cycles every year, I'm guaranteed there would be something in the rule book that would allow them to have that time to do what they needed. Again,
we need to remember the rule books and all of these things are developing 90% of the time by men.
Yeah, right. How could you possibly understand? You know, it's just crazy, but that's the way of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Although
That is
we
the way of the
dominate
world.
the world, although we as women dominate the world, you know, in terms of policy making, we do not dominate the world in policy making, which is, you know, which is quite sad. Anyway, what do you think is the most significant barrier to female empowerment?
Women.
Explain.
I'm sorry, sorry, ladies, like whoever's watching. It's us. It's us women. Again, like instead of, and then listen, I've done it myself, so it's not like I'm saying that like I'm an expert. I'm not. I've done it myself, right? Instead of looking out all the time at the problem or what they've done or said or whatever, like you need to start looking in and asking yourself the question, why does that irritate me? Why does he or she irritate me? Why don't I like that certain thing? Why don't I feel comfortable here? And asking yourself those questions, and then you'll be able to figure it out. Listen to what you're feeling. Like if you're in a space, you know, sometimes you can be in a space and you feel a bit, oh, I'm just not comfortable. Look around you. Why aren't you comfortable? It might be that you're in a space of people that just aren't your people. Right? Not saying they're bad. They're just not your people. They're just not your vibe or whatever. And then why can stop putting yourself in those spaces? If it is making you feel that way, stop putting yourself in those spaces, because that makes you bitter. And then that's feeding you toxic energy that you then breathe out, because the next person you speak to, what you're going to say, X, Y, Z, because that's what's going in your mind, right? But women, instead of being fearful of each other doing better than each other, be proud, be excited, because that person has just shown you that you can do it. Especially if it's someone you know or someone you like. Stop being empowered by people you don't know, and start being empowered by the people you do know. Like I'm so inspired by Rihanna. Really? Well, what did she do to inspire you? No disrespect to Rihanna at all, but just an example. What did she give you a conversation? Have you got a personal relationship with her? Did you ask her a question? She replied. Like, what did she do that inspired you? What made you, like, you may have someone that's right next door that's doing something really amazing, but you're not even looking in that direction because they're not an A-list.
Exactly, isn't it? Yeah.
Stop putting people in these that will, I'll accept her because she's there, but I'm not going to bother with her because she's there, because that person that's down there may be the person that rises above and could have taught you something. Right? So connect with each other and stop being looking to be better or do better than somebody else. Do it together. Hold hands, do it together.
Yeah, thank you. I so agree with you there, especially the fact that be empowered and inspired by someone close to you. Why are you looking at, you know, someone who you would never have a conversation with? And the person right next to you have said something which is really inspirational and which is really empowering, but you choose to ignore it.
Yeah.
You know, those are some of the things you need, because those are the connection. Those are the positive vibes you need. That's your tribe.
That's your tribe.
Yeah.
And when you start looking within yourself and asking yourself the questions, you'll find your tribe, because you start to find yourself. Yes. And then when you start to really show who you are authentically out there, you'll naturally attract your tribe of people, right? But you will, until you find yourself, or, you know, start delving into yourself, you're not going to find those people, because you don't, like, going back to, you don't know who you are. So how can you find, and how can they find you if you don't know? Because you're, at the moment, you may be portraying that you're somebody else or something else. So you're attracting. So if you're someone that says, why do I always attract the rubbish? Why do I always check the rubbish men? Or why do I always attract the rubbish friends? Look at your vibe. What energy are you putting out there yourself? If you know, if you keep attracting that, you have to step back and be like, okay, there's something about me that I'm doing, that I'm projecting out there, that's drawing this into me. So you have to it always comes back to you. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it will always come back to you. And it doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't always mean you're right. Sometimes you may do something, and when you reflect on it, you'll be like, yeah, you know what, I was wrong. But some people don't. They just want to point the finger at everything outwards, and they don't want to look in and be like, okay, you know what, I've got some work to do here on myself. It's far easier today. Well, I didn't achieve this because I didn't have this, or I didn't achieve this because I was scared, or I didn't achieve this because so and so said, or whatever it is, because of something else other than yourself. And 9 times out of 10, we have to go in first.
Thank you. It is so very true. In order to heal someone else, you need to heal thyself. And you need to know thyself in order to know what kind of person you're going to find. And it's so true, because so many times a lot of people come to me, in terms of my therapy. Oh, well, I keep on attracting the same people. Yes, but why are you attracting the same people? What energy are you putting out there? You need, as you rightly say, you need to start reflecting in terms of, okay, what is the energy I'm feeling? Because whatever I am feeling, I am going to be projecting it out. So you first need to look at yourself and say, okay, how am I feeling? And what is the energy that is going through me? Because whatever energy I'm going through, unconsciously, you are acting in that way, because you are not always conscious of your behavior. And there's sometimes some people consciously wear a mask. So they have so many masks that when they get one layer, you think you actually know them. They didn't even know they were wearing so many masks, because they are so much pretending to be something else that they're not, because of fear of how other people might see them. We need to stop wearing those masks, because we need to start knowing ourselves and start finding ourselves. Because the more masks you begin to wear, the more you really don't know yourself.
100%.
And so many things of you surprise you, because you didn't even know that was you.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And the sad thing about it is that I feel the reason why women wear so many masks is because of being conditioned and high expectation that they have to put out that there. But they fail to realize the more you allow this high expectation, the more you're going to disappoint people. It's better to disappoint no one and you deal with you. It is so, I think the way forward for us as women, we need to first know ourselves. And reflection could be very, very painful thing. Because it's like taking that mirror and looking at all the spots in this mirror. And being honest. Because there's sometimes, as teenagers, when they're looking in the mirror, they see a bump here, they see a bump here, etc. As women, we need to take that mirror and look at ourselves in the mirror. We need to do a lot of mirror work. It is by no means easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. I did something similar in one of my dance classes at an event I did a while back. And that was one of the tasks that they had to, before we started the class, we had to stand in the mirror in the dance studio, and you had to tell yourself, I love myself, we're gonna have an awesome day. And it was just, even for me, it was really hard to look yourself in the eye in the mirror and actually look at yourself. And I like, even anybody that's watching your live here, try it yourself. Like, actually, like, monitor yourself. When you look in a mirror, are you actually looking at yourself, or are you literally just you're not even looking, you're just glancing? Most of us aren't looking at ourselves. We're just quickly glancing. We're not actually looking at ourselves at all. We're not making that eye-to-eye contact with ourselves. And when you try to do it, it's really quite hard to just look at yourself in the mirror directly into your eyes and then tell yourself you're good enough, you're beautiful, you're this, or whatever, all those positive. It's not easy to do at all, but it's necessary, especially on the days that you do have those days that you just think, what's the point to anything? Like, we all have them. That is when it's needed the most. But it's not easy, but it's necessary. And the more you do it, the easier it gets for you to be able to do that, but it's painful to start off with sometimes, because especially if you're in a space where you're sad, you may be going through something, and you look in your own eyes and you can see that sadness, and you're trying to, it's hard to do, but it's necessary. You have to do it.
It's interesting though, because this is something I do with students. You know, I say to them what I want them to do. You know, I want them to look in the mirror every day and just look at themselves in the mirror for at least 5 minutes and remind themselves of the beauty and remember that they're good enough. The first reaction you get when I do that with adult classes is something else. The first reaction I get when I tell this is like the burst out laughing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh my goodness, Miss, what are you talking about? And I would follow that up, because in some classes I have little mirrors, and it's like getting them to really look in that mirror. For children, in some classes I would have where I have children break down because they've always been told all the negative about themselves. Yeah. And you're saying to them, I want you to look in that mirror and remind yourself of your beauty and tell yourself that you're good enough no matter what. In so many classes, all I have is the breaking down. And when I have the breaking down, I know that in that child's life, they've always told that they're not good enough.
Yeah, so, something's made them feel that way.
Exactly, exactly. And for women, especially women, when I do those workshops, is you would get the pile of tears and the breaking down, because they've always been told that they're not good enough. They've always been told that they're useless. So it's like you telling them to look in the mirror. And sometimes I say to them, you know, initially I say, tell yourself that you love yourself. Some of them cannot say that. So, okay, tell yourself that you like yourself, and then just work on building it up. Because it is so hard when you have not had that experience of someone saying to you that I love you, really, truly love you.
Yeah.
And you are good enough, that when you tell yourself that, you're thinking it's like the thought in your head saying, you're not good enough. Who are you kidding? So it's like all of that. So it's coming over those things and reminding themselves that, yes, you are beautiful. That some days it's painful to say because you don't feel it, but you need to keep on saying it until it becomes a reality.
That's right.
You just keep on saying it. And it is so very true, because I have a pile of mirrors, because before I never used to have, you know, when I do the, you know, the mirror work, I never used to have so many piles. But I thought, you know what? Let me buy the mirrors. So when I have the workshop, I want you to look at it. Some women especially cannot say that.
Yeah. So it's a process for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, but it's not. It really isn't.
No, it's not. It's not. Especially if you've always been told that you're worthless, you're not good, you know, who you think you are, etc. And then you now have to look in that mirror and look at, you know, especially if some of the women are self-condemning, or look at my nose, look at my eyes, look, you know, it's like all of that. So therefore, you're not seeing past that.
That's
right. And even though you tell some of them, you know, look in the mirror in full length and just appreciate who you are. Oh, look at me, my stomach is big, man. It's like all the negative society have told them that they cannot come to embrace the beautiful person they are.
That they are, and that's right.
It doesn't matter your size, your age. You are the only one that would be able to embrace you. No one else is going to be able to shine the light on you unless you do it yourself.
That's right.
It is so important that you love you, fall in love with yourself. The same way you're going to give people bunches of flowers, buy yourself some flowers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be an expensive thing. It could just be buying yourself some daffodils. Believe me, when you do that, you're thinking, oh my goodness, that feels good. I'm buying it for me. It's like one woman called me up and she said, Debbie, I have to thank you. I said, why? She said, because you told me I should buy myself some flowers. And I bought myself some flowers. I bought myself some lipstick. And it feels so nice because I've always spent on other people except me. She said, and she was going on about it. And I was laughing. I was laughing. She said, you don't know how that feels. That feels so lovely.
Yeah.
I bought myself something because I was never able to buy something for me.
sad, isn't it?
It is. It is. Those are the beginning women of empowering yourself. Go out there and buy yourself something. It could just be, as I say, a small bunch of daffodils. It could just be, buying yourself a notepad, because there's sometimes we don't take time to buy ourselves and we just go and we pick it up. No, spend some time looking at it and buying it with a smile.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
so much difference when you buy yourself something with a smile. It's like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Right. What else could you say to women to enable them to feel empowered?
Oh God. Oh, what could I know? I don't know. I mean, number one, check your surroundings. What are you feeding yourself? Your surroundings. What are you listening to?
Yeah.
What are you saying to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Those voices. What are you telling yourself every day, every minute of the day? What are you saying to yourself? And go and look for real people that in your eyes are enlightening, have got something of value to share, and that excite you, that you look at them and they make you feel like anything's possible. Go and look for real people that you can connect with. I'm not saying don't be inspired by people that are in the public eye, because there's people in the public eye that I am inspired to, but I'm also fully aware that I'm not in their circle. I watch their posts, I read their books, and so you've got those people. I'm talking about, you need to also try and connect with people that you can have access to. So you can speak to them, you can pick their brains, or they might say something that sparks an idea in you, or whatever it is, because you're able to connect with them, however that might be. Go and look for those people, because those people will give you the tools to empower you to be a better version of yourself, whatever that means to you, because it means something different to everybody. Right? Go and look for that. Notice the things that make you laugh. Notice the things that make you feel good, and do more of it. Like, don't put it to the back burner. If buying yourself flowers makes you feel good, do that more. Because that's when you feel good, you're empowered to do more. It makes you brave to try new things when you feel good. When you don't feel good, you don't want to do nothing. Like, so what makes me feel good? Buying myself flowers. So buy yourself a bunch of flowers every week, whatever that is for you, right? That's what I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of those things, because it's important that you find the things that make you smile. There's sometimes for me, it's like just going into the shop and thinking, oh my goodness, I like this dress. It just makes me smile, and I'm going and have a look at it. There's sometimes it might be, it's like last month it was, going and get a nice pink lipstick, because I love my lipstick.
It could be anything. And it could be, and if you're somebody that's out and you see someone, I often do it, and some people may be a bit weird about it, but like, you see someone and you think, oh my God, I love what she's wearing, or she looks great today. Tell her.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you don't know her. Just walk past and say, you know what, you look hot today, girl. Walk on by. Like, you don't need to stop and have a conversation, but you don't know how those few little words, you just empowered that woman by telling her that she looks great today. She could have been having a crap day, but you've just changed that.
It is so very true, because I tend to do that quite a lot. It might be someone wearing a nice lipstick. I say, oh my goodness, even up to Friday, I say, you got a fantastic color lipstick. That look great on you. And I think, and she looked at me shy and said, thank you. There's sometimes it could be a top, it could be a whole dress, it could be a hairstyle, it could be a color of the hair. And I think it is so important. When we see this on people, whether or not it's male or female, it is important that we acknowledge it and tell them, because as you say, we don't know the day they might have had. And you actually made their day, because you look at them and thinking, oh my goodness, that's really fantastic when you wear it. Or I really love that dress. I don't have no time to talk to you. I'm just telling you what I'm admiring. as you
Yeah,
rightly said, there's no conversation. I'm just
that's
passing
right.
and just go about my business, you know. But I just had to tell you that because it looks good. And we need to tell you, we need to compliment each other a
Compliment
lot
each
more.
other.
Yeah,
That's
instead
right.
of being envious of each other. We need to celebrate each other. It is so important. The celebration is so important
It is
because,
important
you know,
celebrating each
you
other
don't do
and
that enough.
sharing. If you're
Yeah,
doing something that works, share that.
yeah,
It might
exactly.
work for someone else. You don't know. It might not. But share it. Like that's the other thing. Some people are doing stuff that works, but they don't share it with the people around them because they don't want other people to have the. It's like again, it's like they feel they're going to lose something by sharing it, you know. But
Mhm,
no, why wouldn't you share that? Oh, you know what? I've been using this thing and it works. Like, give it a
mhm,
go. You might help you in what you're doing. I don't know,
mhm,
whatever it might be, right?
mhm,
Sharing stuff. And
mhm,
if you see someone's trying in something they're doing, just like you do when you see a kid studying for an exam, you know, you're all like, yeah, you can do this, go on, yeah,
mhm,
go keep going. You see
mhm.
someone's trying something new, you know, might be they've just quit their job to set up their own, I don't know, business in selling flowers.
Mhm,
Support them with that. Doesn't mean
mhm,
you have to buy. You don't have to buy anything. You can literally
mhm,
just be on their post or letting other people know. Oh, my friends just opened a shop down the road selling
mhm,
flowers, or jump
mhm,
in their inbox and say, well done for
mhm.
taking a risk on yourself, because that's empowering too to that person who's
Exactly.
absolutely terrified
Mhm.
that they've just opened a shop but they don't know whether it's going to work.
Exactly. It is so very true because something you say in terms of sharing, and I keep on saying to people in schools, there are different teachers that's doing the same subject, but I might connect with one student, I may not connect with others. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be sharing ideas because how I'm coming to with that idea would be different from the way you're coming to the
Yeah,
same topic, but we both explaining it very differently. So sharing doesn't mean that I am stealing your idea. It means that you've given me an idea thinking, oh yes, I could use it this way, whereas you're
that's
using
right.
it this way. We both using the same ideas very differently. So, you know, it's like something I hear people say, oh no, if I tell them they're gonna steal my idea.
Yeah, oh, so ridiculous. It gets on my nerves.
Exactly.
It
Yes,
gets on
it
my
is
nerves.
because the way I would say something would be different from the way you said. It's the same topic, but we
Yeah,
both saying it differently. So I haven't stole your idea because you cannot steal each other's idea
that's
because we
right.
coming from it from different places and different ways. And
That's
that's
right.
something, especially women, you guys need to realize nobody could steal your idea. Your idea is your idea. It's yours. It's uniquely yours.
Yeah,
That
that's
you
right.
know they cannot teach it the way you do. So
That's right.
there's no need to be fearful of it. And I think that's one of the things that prevents a lot of people from sharing, the fear of someone is going to steal their ideas. Really?
But you see that again, when you're thinking that way, you're thinking about and
Mm-hmm.
I.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're not thinking of you're putting yourself in a tiny box. You're not thinking of the bigger picture, especially if you're in a position of service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're thinking that way, you're just thinking of I, not seeing, well, if I share this could ripple into something bigger than me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like we've not, my belief system is we will not be put on, we haven't been put on this earth to be singular.
Mm-hmm.
We've been put on this earth to be joined together as communities,
Mm-hmm.
which means you share stuff, you support each other and all of that stuff. We weren't put here to be singular. If we were meant to just be individuals on our own, we wouldn't have kids, we wouldn't have partnerships, we wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
just be singular surviving, whatever that would look like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um you have to see, I mean, we know there are people out there that literally steal stuff from people, but that's a different thing, isn't it? If you're
Mm-hmm.
sharing it with good intentions, I believe it's going to come back to you tenfold.
Yes, I
The
believe that.
blessings come back to you.
Yep, I believe that too. And as far as I'm concerned, if someone want to take it, that's their business because it means that it's having an impact on them, which means, oh my goodness, you're doing something good, girl.
You're doing something, yeah, someone wants something of yours, you've clearly
Exactly.
done something, you've inspired them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It is very, very true. Right. What one thing you want to leave the audience with? It could be two if you want.
Mm. What I want to leave the audience with, well, I guess something I live by, the people I work with live by, is just be you. Just be yourself and never doubt yourself. So just be real and never doubt yourself. So if you're operating out of love and truly trying to be your true authentic self, you can't really go wrong. I'm not saying you're not going to have obstacles and all of those things, because you will, that's life, but you can't really go wrong when you're being true to who you are. And I found, since doing that myself, that you don't have a lot of dramas as much, because like I said, you attract the right people, the right energy, so you're not surrounded by a lot of the rubbish anymore, because you're aware of yourself, you're aware of what you like, what you don't like. You see something that's off and you don't even entertain it. You know, it's like going into a relationship, right? You spot things and you're like, nope, right? When you're not aware of yourself, you fall into these messy relationships and keep repeating the same pattern because you're not aware of yourself, right? When you become aware of yourself, you're like, that's never going to happen to me again, because I know now. It's the same thing. So just really just be yourself and learn about you. When you start learning about you, everything else kind of comes from all directions, and you know, it's a constant thing. It's not do that for 6 weeks and everything will be all right. You've got to be open to, for the rest of your life, be open to learning. Be open to learning.
Thank you very much. I agree with all of that. It's one of my saying. I say to everybody: be bold, be brave, be positively blatant.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
When I first say to my student, I see be bold, be brave, be blatant. One of them said, Miss, you know, blatant mean, you know, you could tell people exactly what you have to tell them. I said, oh, let me change that. I said, be positively blatant. I said, let's change it around. Be brave, be bold, and be positively blatant. I don't want to, you just tell people things,
yeah,
you know.
Just rude. Yeah.
Exactly. Be positive. It was interesting though, because once you then pointed that out to me, I was thinking, oh yes, I need to change that. So I changed it there and then.
I like that though.
It is so important. And you need to be uniquely you. It's beautiful to be uniquely you. Forget about being a copy of anyone else. It doesn't matter what uniquely you look like. It's you.
It's you. That's right.
Exactly. So women out there, just be yourself. No matter what it is, be true to you. Or else you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Thank you so very much, Sylvia. It was a fantastic dialogue. You know, it was so brilliant. Thank you so very much. There's so many nuggets that you've actually shared, so that these women could actually take away with them. It's beautiful. And we need to have those those conversations. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely, anytime. Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
You
have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Facebook, and I'll see you guys on Friday. We'll have another episode of Female Educators Roundtable, and we'll be talking about home education or homeschooling. You need to start educating your children, because you are the best teacher. Forget about you thinking that you're not qualified. Really? You are the most qualified person for your children, because guess what? You know your children than us. So when you send your children to us, we really don't know your children, you know. We're teaching your children as a number. And we're also teaching your children as one size fits all. Whereas when you're teaching your children, you are teaching them according to their needs. So join me on Friday, where we're going to discuss that. And join me on Saturday, when we're going to be talking to a female educator from around the world, for them telling us what it's like to be back in the classroom after COVID. Have they taken back anything from the platform? And are they teaching any differently? Are they thinking about their mental health and the student mental health? Or are they looking at it business as usual? Hell no, it should never be business as usual, because we've gone through a traumatic time of our life. So we need to start acknowledging that. So join me on Friday and Saturday, where I'll be having another woman. Sorry, I only deal with women, because we have different challenges. where we'll be discussing our challenges. Anyway, Facebook, see you guys. Take care. Stay blessed.